Hey, Magnus here, and today I'm going to talk about a video game rather than usually cameras. This channel's for cameras, but today we're talking Shenmue 3, and from a fan's perspective, how did it become the phenomenon that it did? How did it crash? And how did it get back up with the Kickstarter funding that broke records? 2 years into development, here we go. Take a look. There it is. The countdown to the final minutes of the Shenmue 3 Kickstarter. Over 69,000 people have pledged their money for something called
Shenmue.
To add to that, over 6 million has been funded to this project, which as of the date of this recording is the highest now funded video game project of all time. It also holds the current Guinness World Record for fastest Kickstarter project to reach $1 million. And after all this hype, currently there has been a lot of press from those unaware of this series asking one question: what is Shenmue? The irony is that everyone who has now funded this project was asking the same question back in 1999, 17 years ago.
There wasn't a lot of hype. There was just this open world type of game. At the time it was called Free, so no one really knew what it was at the time. It felt really Japanese. I read a lot of magazines at the time that was just talking about it, and no one really knew.
We start with the hype for the Dreamcast. What ended up to be the company's last console, this 128-bit system ended up to be Sega's most ambitious system, which added innovative ideas such as virtual memory units that displayed information about the games you're playing, as well as the function to act like a portable gaming unit, all while holding your game saves on the devices. A modem on the system that shipped with it was also included, which allowed for immediate online play right out of the box. And one of the most hyped games on the console was in fact Shenmue. But any information about the upcoming game was very unclear at the time.
There was a little bit of hype, mostly just anticipation to figure out what it was that everybody was talking about and what all the magazines were raving about.
Shenmue launched in North America on November 8, 2000. At this time, the Dreamcast was more than a year into its cycle and was being marred by the PlayStation 2 launch earlier that same year. Though considered a commercial failure, this game ended up to be one of the must-have gems for the system. However, in some ways, this game was considered by many to have dug a deeper grave for Sega. What's amazing though, it's also the same reason that the Dreamcast has lived on for so many years. Shenmue leaves a lasting impression on those that have played it thanks to its rich nature, deep storyline, and unfortunately, unconcluded ending.
I loved how open it was. I love the fact that you can play arcade games in that. I spent many hours playing a game within a game. How meta is that? It's like the Matrix. But anyway, I loved it. I liked it.
European and Japanese fans alike were able to enjoy Shenmue 2 on Dreamcast. However, US fans were obligated to wait for at least a year after it was released overseas, as Xbox had acquired exclusive rights to distribute the game with upgraded graphics on the Xbox console. Sega wanted to create a life cycle for Shenmue beyond the Dreamcast so that they can continue the Shenmue series on surviving consoles after the system was discontinued. Microsoft had committed to support the franchise through an extensive marketing initiative. Microsoft was a new player into the video game console industry, so exclusive deals for Sega franchises were what Microsoft were looking for to get an edge up from the competition, while at the same time giving previous Sega fans a new console to call home. However, after many first-party success stories and less attention to games such as Shenmue 2 and Jet Set Radio Future, It seemed that the new home that Shenmue found was not a glimmer of hope, but just more affordable software in the bargain bin in your local superstore.
There was no promotion at all. At least I didn't see any promotion. I walked into a store one day. Actually, no. That's BS. I did get, I was subscribed to the Dreamcast magazine. That's how I knew that it was coming out on Xbox. If it weren't for that, I would have never known. I would have just walked into a store and be like, what, Shenmue? Okay. But at that point, there was no there was barely any advertisement, and it wasn't even all that much hype for it. At least on the Xbox standards, compared to Halo, or any Halo whatsoever. Like anything Microsoft got a lot of hype. Shenmue 2, not so much.
So what was next for the franchise? What was next for the series that was meant to play over many chapters? Fans were left wondering when the story would continue. But fans were in for a surprise that seemed to take a different turn for the series. In 2004, Shenmue Online was announced. This game would be a strong departure for the series. MMORPGs were gaining popularity as the internet became easier to access for many households, and in order for Shenmue to remain relevant and a viable investment for the future, it seemed that online features would have to be implemented to gain a broader appeal to grow their audience. The game would be considered an online-only game, where you would join one of 3 clans and go through the story by completing tasks by clan leaders.
Well, it doesn't really sound like Shenmue. To me, it just sounds like a Yakuza game. But either way, I'd be into it. If it were free or at least like cheap enough that I can play for a few months and see what it's like and enjoy it, I'd still play it.
Unfortunately, after years of news and issues, such as the controversial change to online gameplay for the series and graphical issues, the game was quietly cancelled. From then on, it seemed that Shenmue would fade into the darkness. Aside from a mobile game idea, hope for a sequel, however, was fading fast among the fans. Rumors went from exciting to just repetitive and far-fetched.
I heard there was a lot of, obviously, rumor after rumor every single year. After the first 6, 7 or so years of waiting and really waiting and hoping that it would come out, and then one day somebody would say, yeah, we're coming out with it. After that, so many years of getting like nothing, I was just like, all right, whatever. I just accepted it was never going to come out.
It seemed that hopes for a sequel were finally abolished by 2009 when Yu Suzuki stepped down from Sega. By 2003, Sega designer Yu Suzuki had already left a mark on the gaming industry worthy of induction into the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences Hall of Fame. Best known as the creator of the Virtua Fighter and Shenmue series, Suzuki was responsible for what were some of Sega's top franchises. And now, he was gone. What was to happen to the Shenmue franchise? Aside from the annual rumor, no one ever really truly believed that Shenmue 3 would ever be released. E3 2015. The usual Shenmue tease was released and just as quickly ignored. It didn't matter. But the day that Sony's press conference happened is a day many Shenmue fans will never forget. Sony was doing an incredible job of announcing a couple of highly anticipated games in The Last Guardian and the Final Fantasy VII Remake. After those announcements, many online were talking about how huge those reveals were and were at the point satisfied with Sony's announcements. And then this happened on June 15, 2015.
Now recently, a developer told us that they were bringing back a fan favorite Kickstarter for PC and PS4. Now this is very much their project, but we wanted to celebrate their announcement on our stage, since this is a game that PlayStation fans have been very, very, very vocal about.
It's a crazy conference.
Stop right there. If you notice in this video footage, not a word was said or written on the screen at the Sony press conference. Only the music and a bit of the pedal falling. Then this true fan immediately reacted like this. Shenmue was announced. The Kickstarter was off and running, and Shenmue was back once again. But how did this happen? What made Sony relaunch a game that was long dead for over 14 years? It turns out that Sony was looking for a property that fans would love to see on the platform. When a survey was put out, fans overwhelmingly responded that they wanted to see Shenmue 3 more than anything else. This in turn led to Sony meeting in private with Yu Suzuki and putting the plans in motion to give the fans exactly what they wanted. For over 15 years, this game has been on the mind of this developer and the fans. This is far from a rushed project. The story is yet to be concluded, but at this point, much like the end of the second game, from a distant land in the east, from across the sea, he shall appear. He does not know of the strength hidden within him, the strength that would destroy him, the strength that would fulfill his wishes. When he is ready, he shall seek me out, and we shall brave the rocky path. I shall wait. This encounter has been my destiny since ancient times. A dragon shall emerge from the earth, and dark clouds shall obscure the heavens. A phoenix shall descend from above. Its wings will create a purple wind. A single star shall shine alone. And thus the saga continues. And there you have it. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos or more content like what you've seen today, or if you want to see camera stuff, because that's what I do normally. But anyway, if you like this video, you can make my day if you subscribe today. This is Magnus, and I'm out. See you guys later.